With the yo-ho-ho, it's Taylor the Toaster. Welcome back to another post-game episode of the series covering another Ultimate tournament. On this occasion, we are looking at the upper route of Sonny Raimon's Ultimate tournament, that being the headmaster of Raimon Junior High, because he has two extremely interesting team members to play. And unlike Dave's competition route, this particular route actually has some really worthwhile rewards. They're both special tactics, which I have named in the past, but nonetheless might as well preserve a bit of surprise. So for the start of this route, well, it's the second match, but I did the first one off screen, we're going to be looking at Rose Griffons. And that name may sound a little familiar to you if you paid proper attention to the full LP, because I have indeed mentioned this team before. They made a small role in the main story, but we'll get to that because that's all of the team members. Let's look at the strikers' special moves. Jérôme Havard has Slingshot and Alain Favreau has Land Dragon. So neither of those moves are unique to Rose Griffon. You could try and argue that Slingshot is the signature move of the team because it is used only by Rose Griffon and another team, Red Matador. And indeed, we haven't even seen Red Matador yet. So that would suggest, you know, Slingshot, that's their move, right? Well, no, it's not, because I only learned something about Rose Griffon very recently while I was researching for this video, actually. They've also got that goalkeeping move, the Stinger, but that's used by Brocken Brigade, and the namesake, the Stinger, is based on war, so it's clearly their move. But nonetheless, Rose Griffons actually had a unique shooting move in the Japanese version of the game, which was removed. And I am going to show that to you guys because genuinely I hadn't even seen this until a few weeks ago. But what you are seeing now is a shooting move called Eiffel Drive. And yeah, once you realise what that's called, yeah, this was clearly the signature move of France, wasn't it? Just, I know, France has the Eiffel Tower in it, let's make somebody kick the ball from the top of the Eiffel Tower. It's genius, right? And so that is indeed France's shooting move. But it's not present at all in the European version of the game. And I can only guess that that was due to copyright because, you know, everyone talks about the Eiffel Tower so much, it's easy to forget that it is actually an intellectual property, a brand owned by Paris. So yeah, you're not really allowed to use the Eiffel Tower in media without people's permission, I guess. It didn't stop the developers of Rhythm Thief and Pokemon, but nonetheless, that was a special move that was removed from the game, and it was Rose Griffon's signature move. So there you have it. Now instead they've just got Slingshot and Land Dragon. But we'll talk for a bit about Rose Griffon because to finally answer the question, yes, they were indeed part of the main story, especially in Team Ogre Attacks. I think maybe, I don't really think they get much of a mention in Lightning Bolt and Bomb Blast because they were part of the Team Ogre Attacks exclusive side story, in that they actually fought Team Ogre as part of the FFI during the main story. And as you may remember, they got creamed 36-0 just in the episode before we then had a match with Team Ogre, and it was weirdly easy. But nonetheless, that guy with the rose sticking in his mouth, Jean-Pierre, and then that's not right. And yeah, the captain's called Pierre Godon, but that wasn't the one who talked. Nonetheless, Team Ogre just got bodied by Team Ogre, and that was their involvement in the story. And indeed, they did come in last in their group of the FFI as a result. They still didn't finish without any points. They got 3 points, which is not too bad. That's a move we haven't seen before, but it's not exclusive to France. Because First of all, in the qualifiers to get in the tournament in the first place, they fought Italy's team, Orpheus, but they lost. You can just about tell that in the opening cutscene of the game. Then they just qualify for the group stage anyway, and I am actually going to have to try and stop this. I wish I was stopping Eiffel Drive right now. But nonetheless, they lost to the Kingdom 3-0, as you might expect. Then they lost to Red Matador, which we will be fighting later in this episode. Minor spoiler alert. And, of course, they fought Team Ogre, representing Little Gigantes. Wait. I wasn't looking, but the ball's in the net. They didn't score. I was genuinely just looking at my notes so that I remembered the scores properly. What happened? What actually happened there? Okay. But nonetheless, if you were playing Lightning Bolt and Bomb Blast, then yes, they do indeed just lose fair and square to Little Gigantes. So Cote Victoire didn't cheat their way into the semi-finals necessarily. We know that they're capable of beating Rose Griffon fairly. Oh, that's going to be offside. No, it's not. Okay, we're going to take a goal on these guys, hopefully. Won't take it for granted with Montaigne, because he's lower level than the rest. But, yeah, in their very last match in the group stage, they did manage to beat Brocken Brigade. So that's how they got 3 points. But they still came last, making them kind of the worst team in the tournament, along with England. And I don't know, but if I saw England and Rose Griffons have a head-to-head match, I'm pretty sure England would come out on top, right? Not in the real World Cup, but in Inazuma 11. I really need to make some substitutions, but I'm just going through this so quickly. But that's pretty much all there is of importance to say about Rose Griffon. But it's nice to see them again, and we will just skip to the end of the match now. Hope you enjoyed Archer Hawkins' new move. I was sick of him only having one option, so I gave that to him. But I gave the Rose Griffons the Swift 5-0. Sorry, France. But you were only the second team in the competition route. It wasn't bound to be amazingly difficult. Unfortunately, the second team, which we want to cover in this video, who I've already named... Oh no, they're right there! Oh, I thought they were going to be much further on, but fair enough. We're going to get straight into the match with Red Matador then. And as I mentioned before, this is the Spanish team. And out of all the teams in Group B who failed to qualify, I would say that Red Matador is the most important. Team Ogre are the one who actually get a mention in the game when they lose to Team Ogre. They're probably not in Lightning Bolt or Bomb Blast at all. But Red Matador actually have a match with Inazuma National in the anime. But for now, first, I always like to have a look at these guys' bios and what kind of stereotypes they can pull out, such as the Black Iberian Pig and Paella, and of course they're the Red Matador. That references bullfighting. Not quite as bad as referencing war, but I'm still, let's just say I'm not a big fan of bullfighting as a tradition. The red is just the colour that the actual Spanish national team is, so they went to roll with that. So these are the guys that the special move Slingshot is truly meant to belong to. Back in the Japanese version, they were the only team to use it, but then some localizers just had to pass it on to Rose Griffon. That is the only move which they can truly call their own. Like, a couple of their other players have dribbling moves like Yo-Yo Ball and Subterfuge, but Slingshot was meant to be the exclusive one. Don't know if you remember, but I do actually have Slingshot on Nathan Swift, because I won the move manual for beating Tournament Mode. And indeed, Tournament Mode has stepped up considerably in difficulty and rewards now in the post-game, and believe it or not, despite my commentary throughout that actual episode, somebody did ask me in the comments to cover post-games Tournament Mode, so I will ask you guys in the comments if that's something worthwhile. Would you guys like me to cover Tournament Match Mode again, now that it's the post-game and it's a little tougher? in a bonus video, because if you want it, then sure, I'll do that. It's an extra video for me, but I want to know if there's any actual demand before it happens. But anyway, so back to Red Matador. Their captain is Geraldo Naval, and they, of course, what you really want to know about is the match that they had with Inazuma Japan in the anime. And the match happened... Wow, they stopped that. That's not very nice. Well done, Sanchez. But, so yeah, when they had a practice match just on Inazuma National's team grounds, both teams were third in their group. That include, or at least Inazuma Japan was probably second in the group, but nonetheless, both teams were in a position where they absolutely needed to not lose their next match in order to progress. And so they had a match against each other, which was 1-1. Inazuma National scored the first goal with Emperor Penguin number 3, so Jude, Sanford and Caleb. And then indeed, Red Matador responded with a slingshot to make it 1-1. Then the match got interrupted in order to break it. I forgot about that. Okay, they do have an exclusive move. It's Matador Feint, and that's funny. Oh, Jordan just in an absolute rage, and they're gonna take a shot on me as well, which is kind of worrying. But yeah, so what interrupted their match and caused it to stop? Well, we'll get back to that towards the end of the Let's Play, won't we? Here we go, Slingshot. We've mentioned it enough. You've seen it before, but it's just completely impossible, the move. And they're gonna send it towards Darren LeChance. Anywho, so yeah, it's 1-1. It probably would have been won by Inazuma National, but we'll never know, will we? Because it didn't happen. What happened to Red Matador when they were in third place? Well, they stayed that. In fact, I think they were second in their group and then fell. What happened is that obviously they lost to Brazil's The Kingdom, as everybody does. You know, the Kingdom were totally undefeated in the group stage. They had a match with Little Gigantes and they drew with them, just like every other team again, except for Rose Griffon, who lost by default. Jetstream, that's all I can do at this page. Pants does get the Galaxy by leveling up, but it doesn't seem like she's going to get it in this series, which is a pity. I really wanted to show that off, but she must have to be a super high level. But so both of those two matches went according to plan. Then they beat the Rose Griffons of France, so that's what put them in a good position. And indeed, if they beat Germany's Brocken Brigade, then they would have actually made it out of the group stage. They would have had more points than Côte Victoire, but they blew it, of course, and so they finished the group stage with 4 points, which puts them in joint third alongside Brocken Brigade. And then, if we ignore the goal difference, which we'll never know, goes down to the head-to-head record, which means they would be in 4th place because they lost to the other 3rd place team, which was Brocken Brigade. So, Red Matador, they're a thing. They've got that move. They didn't lose to Inazuma National, but that's the only real thing we need to say about them. So I'm going to finish this match. Give me a moment. I couldn't get the S rank, unfortunately, because somehow the goalkeeper stopped the Dawn from Xavier with flash upper. But nonetheless, that's a 4-0 win over Red Matador, and that's pretty much all the coverage I needed to show from Sonny Raimon's route. You know, it's got good rewards. If I kept playing, don't get me wrong, I could get the Invincible Lance and Heavenly Drive special tactics if I took the time to beat it and then S-rank it for each reward. But I just wanted to show off the 2 missing teams who did compete in the FFI, but they never fought Inazuma National in the main story. So that was Rose Griffon and Red Matador. Very interesting stuff, nice to see them. You would be fighting Europe United next if you carried on. It's only 4 matches left to get to the rewards, but I don't think I would be using Invincible Lance, even if I did collect the reward. So, in the next episode, we will cover some more post-game content. Bye-bye.